Everybody, ShonnyDman here, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are having yourselves a pretty good, or had yourselves a pretty good week. Bringing you the next episode of the podcast. Hope you guys are excited for that with this week's guest. So to get us kicked off and started, tell us who you are and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, I am Ali, also known as Ali Graz. I am a huge Star Wars fan, if you couldn't tell. And I actually haven't been for super long. Like, I didn't grow up, I grew up familiar with Star Wars because my
Okay.
brothers were huge fans, but I didn't really get into it until like I was starting college. Um, and I don't think I got obsessed until and I was like a casual Star Wars fan in college, and it wasn't until the pandemic
Mm.
that it was just like a switch went off in my brain, and overnight I became obsessed. Like that's really how it happened.
Okay. Let's see. Where do I want to start? So you're also a cosplayer as well, for the most part, I
Yes.
believe. Um, Tell us how you got started with cosplaying first.
Um, that was a hobby I had wanted to do since high school, but I didn't have the means because it's an expensive hobby
Mm.
or the confidence to do it. I was afraid of getting bullied. And it wasn't until I got into Star Wars and I it really started with me just posting a picture on Twitter of my first ever lightsaber, and I was like, "Got a lightsaber," and it got, like, hundreds of likes and all these Star Wars accounts that are following me,
Okay.
and so it spiraled from there, and then I got involved in the community and made friends in the community, and that gave me and now as an adult with adult money, that gave me the courage to finally do it, and it started with Star Wars cosplays. I ended up having a Star Wars themed birthday party that year, and I made a Padme Amidala cosplay from her white outfit on Geonosis, and then from there, I don't even know. I think my first cosplay was my first like real cosplay was Padme Amidala's lake dress that I wore to the Star Wars celebration in Anaheim, and then it spiraled from there. And then I branched out into other fandoms I love. So I've got some Spidey suits in there, Teen Titans.
Okay, okay. So, what was the first? So, with you recently becoming a Star Wars fanatic, uh, what was the first Star Wars set of content that you saw?
Um, I was at my first obviously was the original trilogy,
Hmm.
but at the time I was consuming a lot of prequels media, and I grew up more with the prequels era because my brother, like being born in '98 and having
Right.
my older brothers, like that was their childhood, and so that was what I knew best. So that was what I was primarily consuming. I had rewatched The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, like the whole trilogy, for the first time in years.
Okay. Okay. So, I think I asked this of the previous guest. I don't remember. So, I wanted to hear from your perspective and your opinion on things. It's kind of died down a little bit, but the past couple of weeks there has been this talk about women and Star Wars, being a part of Star Wars, that kind of thing. Obviously, you've had
Mhm.
creators out there. Really, there's only one specific creator. I mean, there might be more, but there's only one I specifically know about. You know, come out and talk about how women don't care about Star Wars, that kind of thing. I wanted to hear your opinions on that, and like when you first heard that, what was that like for you?
I think that was like the most ridiculous and juvenile thing I've ever heard. That sounds like something a little boy would say on the playground, you know? Like, "You can't like Star Wars, you're a girl, like, get out of here." Like, that like, I was like, "Are we children?" Like, that's really the vibe I got from that, and I just can't fathom it because I don't know what about the franchise has ever been gendered from the beginning. I it had one of the leads is a female character from going back to the 70s. Um, there was, yeah, it was a predominantly male cast, but it's a it's a space opera, and I don't see how that's gendered. Like men and women both like that stuff, and it touches on themes of, politics and redemption, um, good versus evil. And I just don't get how any of that is inherently gendered. I guess because cool laser swords was something that immediately attracted little child like young boys, but it's just ridiculous to me. I don't understand where that discourse would even come from because for how long has this franchise been around now? Almost 50 years.
Yeah.
In 2027, it'll be 50 years, and from those 50 years, there has been female characters in Star Wars. There has been female fans. Like, it's not like this is a new development. So it just is ridiculous to me. It's honestly rage bait, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was very because obviously there was even a lot of male content creators came out in support of women being involved and things like that, and if you just because like it does again, it doesn't make sense because if you look at the entirety of Star Wars, some of the best characters have been females. I mean, like you mentioned, Padme, Leia, even Ahsoka, who was very much hated at the beginning, but now has
Yeah.
become a top tier character for everybody. Um, Now you got let's see, you got Sabine Wren, Bo Katan. There's plenty of strong female Star Wars presence in the fandom. So it was kind of when I first heard about it, I was just kind of like, this is a little bit ridiculous. And when you're somebody who has, I mean, this goes for all content creators, but like if you have such a large following, the things you say has a lot of weight to it. Um, but it
Mhm.
was really good to see the amount of like support and people coming to the defense of at the time were female Star Wars lovers who were being attacked basically, but everybody kind of like, okay, this is ridiculous. Star Wars is for everybody. These people who are saying otherwise are just, I don't know what they are. So
Yeah.
with
And I don't
go ahead.
I oh, I just don't think there's any piece of media or pop culture these days that is entirely one gender. Like, yeah, you have things that are predominantly, like the Barbie movie was,
Yeah.
predominantly a female fan base, but it doesn't mean that men didn't go to see it and didn't like it. Um, things like football, which I'm a huge football fan,
Oh.
and I will say I'm not saying girls can't like football. I do, but I know a lot more men that are very into it than I do women, but still at the end of the day, it's like men can like Barbie, girls can like football, both can like Star Wars. Like it's in this day and age, there's nothing that's gendered when it comes to the media and the content you choose to consume.
Speaking of football, you're a Packers fan, I think.
I am
Okay. Okay. So,
so a little bitter today, but
oh, well, I mean, it was quite something. I actually have not watched the any really NFL games all year long. But most times because I'm busy with other things. But I do. But I did catch the Packers whipping the Cowboys, and so
that
I
was
was.
fun.
Because I turned it on. I think I was just looking through channels and I saw it was on. I said, okay, let me take a look at this. And I was just like, oh my God, this is just The every year it's the Cowboys can never do anything, and it just happens to be,
They
you know,
can't.
Packers. I am really surprised that how well I mean, I'm not much of a Packers fan. I mean, I like the Packers, but I was really very much surprised to see how well they did. Without Aaron Rodgers, who's been there for years and years. I thought Jordan Love still room to improve, but I thought he played relatively well
Yeah,
as a
but he's
full time starter.
yeah, he definitely. The first half of the season was very difficult. There was a good stretch where it was like I couldn't even bear to watch, but they definitely found their footing, and he has shown a lot of potential. He's had some insane plays, so I think it can only go up from here. They're a really young team. It's just that Coach LaFleur wanted to build a whole new team essentially from scratch, younger quarterback, like get in some younger players. I mean, you have some general favorites,
Yeah,
like my boy Aaron Jones, who's been there for a few years now, but he's still a pretty young guy. I mean, they were the youngest team in the playoffs. Um, I don't know if it was just this year or in general history, but it's a young team with a lot of potential. They can only grow from here, really.
yeah. It may have been just this year because just think about years past. I mean, you had like Rogers, Cobb. There's there's somebody else I'm missing. There's somebody who's a wide receiver. Who was he? I can't think of his name now. It'll probably come to me
Oh my
later.
God, they took him to the Aaron took him to the Jets with him.
Yeah, what is his name?
Yeah, why am I blanking? Oh my God.
It was always like Rogers'
What's it
go-to
called? It
wide
wasn't.
receiver, and I just can't think of his name for some reason.
Yeah. Oh, this is gonna make me so mad because I know exactly who it is, and I'm drawing a blank right now. My brain goes to like I think my brain always goes to the Packers team that's in high school. That like when I was in high school was playing, and I'm like, nope, it's not him. He's retired.
Right,
Um,
because he got traded. He
I'm
got
gonna Google
traded
this
to. I
because
think he got before Rogers left. It
oh,
was
Devontae was it Devontae Adams?
yes, I think it was
I
Devontae
think it
Adams.
was. We don't have Adams anymore. I think he took Devontae Adams with him
Okay, that's probably who I'm
when he
thinking
left.
of. Because I always remember there was like one wide receiver for Rogers that he would typically go to, and even in his age, he was still impressive
Yeah.
as a wide receiver. So I think it is. Yeah, it is Devontae Adams. The more I think about it, it is
It's
him.
Devontae Adams. He doesn't play for the Jets. I think he took Cobb to the Jets with him.
Yeah, I think he took
There was
Cobb to
somebody
the
he took to the Jets
Jets.
with him.
Devontae
But
Adams.
Adams is
Yeah.
playing Devontae Adams is playing for the Raiders.
Okay, that's what.
But
Yeah,
yeah, that was a hard loss for us.
yeah. And so, have you attended a lot of Packers games? Or well, I don't know. I'm not sure where you're located, but
No, it's no, I'm in New Jersey.
oh,
Um they gotta play the Giants more at home. I don't know when they last played the Giants at home. But it is like a bucket list thing for me to go see them play a home game, like because Lambeau Field is iconic,
you're right.
and that's like genuinely a bucket list item for me. I'm like, I need to see the Packers at Lambeau Field, and the only reason I haven't gone yet is because flying to Green Bay, Wisconsin during football season
Oh,
is more expensive than flying to Europe.
yeah. Oh man,
You can
yeah.
get game tickets pretty cheap. I'm fine with nosebleeds. It's just I'm like, if I get to spend $1,500 to fly to Green Bay, Wisconsin for like 2 nights.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't necessarily have a favorite football team. I'm close to Atlanta,
Mhm.
but eh, Falcons. But I tend to just watch around different games and stuff like that. So,
Mhm.
who do you got for tonight? The Chiefs or the 49ers? I mean, really, in reality, nobody really cares about these two.
Yeah.
So,
Um, I'm going for the Chiefs just because I'm bitter about our loss to the 49ers.
okay, that's fair. That's fair. Um, Yeah, it's just man, it's wild. Football's wild. Are you also like a college fan, or are you primarily NFL?
I'm primarily NFL. I need to get into college. My dad says college football is actually way more fun.
Oh, it is.
Um, and every year I'm like, I'm gonna watch college football this year, and then I never really do. I mean, if there's a game on, like if I'm at a bar and a game is on, I'm gonna watch it because I just love football, but I'm not as into college football as I should be.
Right, right. Well, yeah, a lot of people pretty much enjoy college football a lot more. I'm not sure why it is, but it's a lot more intense, and it really, depending on the games, it gets more views than some NFL games, or really NBA games as well. Um, you really should get a college football. I think. Well, I mean, New Jersey, you don't really have like a solid team out that
Hmm.
way, so you probably have to like.
Rutgers, but they never.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. They're yeah, they're fine in other things,
They're
but
all
for
right.
yeah. So, um,
Yeah, they're not. I wish that they were a bigger college football team because that would be fun. I mean, that's only like 45 minutes away. That would be a fun game to go to.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, the college football is a lot less rules than the NFL, which is why the games can be more fun and more intense.
yeah. Uh, so when you're not cosplaying or anything like that, what does your typical day look like for you?
I have one of the most like uncreative, straightforward jobs for somebody who is like very creative and does all this nerd stuff. I work as a copy editor in pharmaceutical marketing.
Hmm.
So I essentially proofread medicine websites and medical advertisements all day long, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, sometimes 9 to 8, 9 to 6, depending on how busy things are. Uh, that's what I do the majority of my time. So cosplay is my creative outlet and a way to decompress when I'm acting like a computer 40 hours a week.
Do you typically uh do you branch out from where you are to go to like other cons, or do you typically just stay in your general area?
Oh yeah, I don't even think I'm not a big fan of the cons around here.
Okay.
Um, like New York Comic Con is fine. It's the issue is last year or this past New York Comic Con was so poppin'. It had such good panels and guests that it was insanely overcrowded. You couldn't even move.
Oh,
But
really?
then the year prior, it had like, yeah, it was bad. I tried going to Artist Alley and I couldn't even walk it. I was like, okay, I give up. Um, but then the year prior, it was kind of dead. It wasn't super crowded, but that's because there was nothing. They didn't have too much. They had like a lot of anime stuff going on, but like if you weren't like a super big anime fan, there wasn't much else for you. So New York Comic Con is like okay, and then there's the fan expos, which I like pretty much anywhere. Like, but there's Philly fan expos pretty close. But I have more fun at Boston Fan Expo, and my favorite con of all time is actually C2E2, which is in Chicago, and that's that was by far the most fun I've had at a con. It was really spacious. The convention center. They didn't even need the whole convention center because it's like the biggest one in the Midwest.
Hmm.
And so it was crowded in the way a con is crowded, but not everyone on top of each other. Plenty of room to move, easy to find friends, good panels, a really great artist alley, which is like my favorite part of any con. So that is by far my favorite. But I have flown, I feel like a majority of my flying, all my United Miles points are
Gotcha.
usually for me going to cons.
Uh, are there any cons that are on your bucket list that you want to go to?
Obviously San Diego Comic Con. That's been on my bucket list since I was in high school, for sure.
Okay.
Um, because that is like the Comic Con. I want to do uh, MegaCon, which I have just happened this last weekend, and I had such FOMO. So I was like, okay, I got to go to MegaCon next year. And obviously, another Star Wars celebration I definitely want to go to. I don't know if I'll go to Japan. It would be cool. That's a bucket list place for me to visit.
Okay.
But that flight would be like flying from New York to Tokyo.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's like gonna be like 16 hours. I don't and like $5,000.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought about it. I
that
thought
would
about going to
be.
the to that one.
I just wish that they didn't do like I understand the international aspect, but it was international like the last one too. Like it would have made sense to do like Anaheim and then Europe for London and then like Orlando or
Mm,
Chicago where they've had it in the past. Go back to the U.S. and then go
right.
Asia
Yeah.
because they obviously have a European and Asian fan base who deserve access to cons, but it's not as big as the American fan base. So it would just make the most sense to do 1 year in America, 1 year
Mm,
abroad, and like rotate back and forth rather than 2 years international.
yeah. Just one of the previous guests I had on, she actually went to the one in London uh the other year.
I ended up selling my ticket.
Uh and we were
Um,
talking what we
I
were
had no
talking.
one to go with.
Oh, that's. I
Hmm?
mean, you probably could. Well, you probably could have still gone, but yeah, I could get that where you don't you.
I could have. It's the people that I know that went. I was friends with, but had only met like once,
Okay.
and now I'm a lot closer with them. So I was like, I wish we got closer earlier because
Yeah.
I would have just stayed with them. But at the time, like I was still kind of new to the con scene and like didn't know my internet friends as well. So it was like flying to a European country solo to hang out with people that I barely know.
Mm,
Like as a girl, it's like I can't. So I was really sad. But I heard from my friends that Celebration London was not as fun as Celebration Anaheim, and the convention center was a lot smaller, so it was like
okay.
everybody was on top of each other.
Okay. Okay. Uh. So, back to Star Wars. What? So you've seen? So you at this point you've seen all the Star Wars movies, obviously. Which one is your number one overall favorite?
Revenge of the Sith.
Okay. That's definitely my favorite as well. I've seen people lately, probably not at the beginning, but now view Revenge of the Sith as just as good as the original trilogy. Like I've seen a lot of
Yeah,
people put it up there with them.
it's the best prequel movie in terms of the writing, directing, and like even at the time with the prequels being so criticized, Revenge of the Sith had the best rating of all of them. And then you add in the fact that the prequels have aged so well
Hmm.
that yeah, it makes sense that it would be up there with the original trilogy.
All right. What about what's your favorite Star Wars show that's come out?
The Clone Wars. I love the Clone Wars. I think that was what really when I was starting to reignite my obsession with Star Wars or reignite or ignite my obsession with Star Wars. Um the catalyst for that was like, okay, I was rewatching the movies in lockdown, whatever. And then I got into the Clone Wars and that was really just the catalyst for everything. Because I
Okay.
love the prequel era.
Mm.
So
Uh, so are you? So it came out recently that I forgot what magazine it was. I can't remember the magazine. Okay. But they are. I want to say it's not New York Times. Anyway, they are for the 25th anniversary of the Phantom Menace. Are you planning on going this because they're bringing it back to theaters, basically for like
Yes, I just saw that.
yeah for Star Wars Day. So are you planning? Obviously, are you planning
Oh,
on?
absolutely.
So,
I love the Phantom Menace, which is an unpopular opinion. Um, I am a Phantom Menace apologist. I would rank when I my ranking of the prequels is actually like Revenge of the Sith, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones.
okay,
Which
okay.
usually people have it as like Revenge of the Sith, Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace. No, my brothers really like the Phantom Menace too. I think it's I think it's growing up with them and in this house of Phantom Menace supporters. But I will absolutely be seeing that when it goes back to theaters.
And so let's see what else we got. So I think more Star Wars news. Season 3 of the Bad Batch is I think about to come out. It comes out this month. So we're getting ready for
Yeah.
that. And then I believe they announced that uh, Star Wars The Acolyte comes out this year as well.
Yes.
Trying to think what other.
And then Andor is getting another season.
Yeah, they just finished wrapping up season 2, filming for Andor,
Yeah.
which I enjoyed Andor. I've seen a lot of people not liking it,
Mhm.
like not liking it, and I'm not sure. It is a slow burn of a show, but
It's a slow burn of a show, but it's a very mature
yeah,
show to come out of Star Wars.
like it has. It's one of the best shows when it comes to like dialogue as well, because just the
Mhm.
dialogue in that show is just so impactful and has such meaning behind it. Visuals are really good.
Yeah.
Let's see what it was. It was also announced that I think Ahsoka season 2 is greenlit.
Yes, they did announce that.
Um,
And
don't really
we'll probably
know.
never get an Obi-Wan season 2
Yeah, yeah. I think Ewan McGregor has.
because he
Oh,
let me down, I think it was the review, it was the backlash, and, like, I think people didn't like Kenobi because of the lack of action in the beginning, I wanna say. They kinda I feel like everyone was complaining about how, like, Obi-Wan, you know, was lost his skill and then he got it back too fast and blah, 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 and it was too slow in the beginning, and I think everyone just really wanted a lot more action than it brought. And, you know, there are comics and there is stories of Obi-Wan's life in exile that they have material for to continue the show, but I don't think it's what people are gonna want based on their reactions
right, right.
to season 1. It's what I want because I love Obi-Wan Kenobi. He could be building sandcastles on Tatooine for all I care, and I'll watch it. Like,
I was fine. I mean, I was. I mean, I'm fine with the. To be honest, it's probably a show that if you were going to make it, you would have made it a lot sooner than what you did. It's kind of like with Marvel's Black
yeah,
Widow. You make a movie about obviously she dies in Endgame and everything. So, but then you make a movie that kind of like does an in between. It's like if you were going to do this, you should have done it a lot sooner or not at all. Um, Kenobi,
yeah.
it was just fine. It was
No, what were you
fine.
say? There's a book that basically picks up right where Revenge of the Sith leaves off,
Mm,
with Kenobi going into exile and also the troubles he faces with it and trying to hide being a Jedi, and trouble seems to follow him wherever he goes regardless. And I think that's something that people would like, but then you would have to recast Ewan McGregor, which could be a hit or miss for the fans, or you CGI him, which is something I personally don't agree with. I don't think there's anything wrong with recasting. Like, we love to, deep fake Mark Hamill for Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian, and
yeah.
like that was fine. But going forward, like especially for a full series, it would be better to just recast.
Right. I mean, we even recast we much younger Han
Han,
Solo,
yeah,
which
and that
which he was fine.
was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember in Rogue One, they completely CGI Tarkin. Uh,
Hmm. Yeah, that was crazy.
and it didn't, and you could tell it was CGI too. So I mean, it wasn't the best
Hmm.
version of CGI for sure. Um, but yeah, it
No,
was
but how many years ago was that now?
Rogue One.
I was definitely in college when I saw it in theaters. So it had to be between 2016 and 2020. I feel like it might have been 2018,
Yeah, I think it was like 2017,
maybe?
2018. I think is when it came out.
2016,
Oh wow.
actually. So yeah, we had 8 years to improve on CGI.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because I was talking to somebody because it's the whole thing with CGI because even people with Marvel and how lackluster their CGI been. I was talking to somebody the other week and we were talking about how it's 2024 now, but if you go back and watch the original Jurassic Park, it holds up very well to this day.
It does.
Like it's some for a movie that came out in '92, the CGI is 10 times better than some of the recent stuff we've gotten. And that was new, basically
Yeah.
new technology at the time.
I
So,
think budget plays a role, which this was when Star Wars was just really being taken over by Disney.
oh yeah,
Um, when Rogue One came out, I mean, they weren't Disney Star Wars wasn't producing nearly as much content as they do now.
right.
We have like so much. There's like 5 Star Wars shows. Oh God, more, but like in the making. Like we said, we have Ahsoka, new season of Andor, new season of The Bad Batch, new another season of Mandalorian. Like it's just keeps going. So I feel like they have more money and experience now to do the CGI a little better.
Yeah.
The Mark Hamill wasn't bad, but I don't mind recasting a young Luke Skywalker. And I love Mark Hamill, but like it's not the end of the world to just
He looked better in the Book of Boba Fett than what he did in The
yeah.
Mandalorian. I'm not sure what it was about it, but he looked like you can tell it looks like Mark Hamill, but then it's not. It's just it doesn't
Hmm.
look like Mark Hamill. Like I'm fine with something like
Yeah.
that. Um, yeah, but it was just I thought it was fine. And then they did the same thing with Leia too at the end of Rogue One because there
Oh
was
yeah.
a it wasn't a deep fake. I don't know if it was Carrie Fisher's daughter or they did like a complete CGI of a young version of Leia, but you could tell it was a little off. It was a little off-putting as well.
I
Um,
forgot about that.
and who else? I
Well, they
remember.
also CGI'd Carrie Fisher in um not the Force Awakens, not the Last Jedi. What was the second sequel movie?
Oh, Last Jedi. Last
Yeah,
Jedi, Rise
I
of
think was she
Skywalker.
dead by that point?
She died in Rise of
I thought it was the
Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker
Right, cause remember the
because
Last
they had to
Jedi was the
CGI her.
yeah. 'Cause the Last Jedi was her like floating through space,
Hmm.
and then yeah, then
Yeah, because I remember seeing it in theaters, and it was after she died, and my friend that was with me was like, "Yeah, they're gonna use CGI," and I was like, I just remember seeing her on the screen. It was like so bittersweet.
yeah. So and then what else is there? I think that was pretty much about it as far as CGI wise with some of these Star Wars characters. Um, Again, it's it's I almost forgot the Mandalorian Grogu. They're getting a movie, so
Yeah, I don't know why.
so uh, um, and then there's Dave Filoni's movie that he's doing, which I guess is technically going to be Heir to the Empire. Um, which I mean,
Yeah, that's gonna be exciting. There's
yeah,
a lot of Thrawn fans out there, so
yeah.
I
So
haven't read the books. They've been recommended to me, but
yeah, it's it is definitely something. A lot of Star Wars content basically is getting ready to gear because I think just this year we're either getting 2 or 3 Star Wars shows. Obviously, the Bad Batch is about to come out. There's the Acolyte, but then there's
mhm.
also Skeleton Crew. Yeah, I think we're getting
Oh
3 Star
yeah.
Wars shows this year. So that should be fun.
Wow. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
pumping it out in
they
24.
are, but they're never consistent on the length of the episodes, and
I know.
it's just. And I've seen a lot of people talk about this recently, where a lot of people are getting kind of tired of these like 6, 7 episode seasons, and then having to wait
That are like each
yeah,
episode's like movie length too. I personally am against these long episodes.
yeah,
Like these like I think 40 minutes is a good episode length. I'm like tired of these like movie length episodes and then this season is just like 6 movie length episodes.
because people like Stranger Things, for instance, that first came out in like I think 2016 was the first season, and the next season isn't going to come out until 2025. So there's like a 9 year
Mhm.
period, and then there's also like with these shows, you're having to wait like 2 years at most for them to do another 6 episode season. So
Yeah.
it's just kind of like, no, I don't know. It's just television's weird, but it is what it is. But all right, guys. I think that is where we will end this week's episode of Nerd Talk. For as per usual, for those who are watching on YouTube, up on screen now are all the ways you can follow and support. But for those who are listening on podcast, how can they follow and support you?
You can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, every social media platform except Instagram. My handle is Ali Graz, AAALLIGRAZ, and my Instagram is Alex Graziano.
So be sure to go and give a follow, show some love and support. Definitely we'll look forward to having you on again in the future for more Star Wars related content. But as per you
Absolutely.
guys, uh, here on the channel, we got a lot of stuff coming on. Uh, Very excited to announce here in the probably next week or so, our first channel live stream that is coming up. So very excited for that. But other than that, you guys enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy your weekend, and we will see you guys in the next video. Bye.